Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, would you please call the roll?
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, Cook, Coram, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill, Holbert, oh, John, Jones, Kagan, Cafalas, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez Humanic, Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Tate, Todd, Williams, Zinzinger. Mr. President.
Here. Morning roll call is 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused. We have a quorum. Colleagues, today we have a group of very special guests that are going to bless us with their talent. Colorado Christian University Women's Choir, directed by Dr. Jill Schroeder-Dorn, will be singing Lift Thine Eyes from Elijah and There is a Balm in Gilead. This is day one of a 5-day performing tour around the state of Colorado for this group. Ladies, please. Colleagues, I'm willing to bet they didn't come in here with just 2 songs prepared. Oh! Well, I lost that bet today. Now what? Senator Lundberg, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could have a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Before this lovely chorus completely leaves the room, thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't personally thank the CCU Women's Chorus for coming. Indeed, 45 years ago, I was a part of the only choral group the school had, and it's just fantastic to see so much musical improvement through the years. Not that we weren't too bad, but thank you for coming. We always enjoy it, and since they only had 2 numbers today, they're going to have to come back with 3 next year.
Yes, agreed. Thank you, Senator. Senator Priola, would you please come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Members, please lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are firing on all cylinders here this morning, folks. Approval of the journal, Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I move that the reading of the Journal of Tuesday, February the 21st, 2017 be dispensed with and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Reports of the Committee of Reference.
February 21st, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. House Bill 1016 be referred to Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation, and recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. House Bill 1067 be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation, and recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. House Bill 1128 be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation, and recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. February 21st, 2017, Mr. President, the Committee on Transportation has had on consideration and has had hearing on the following appointments. Recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. A member of the Colorado Aeronautical Board for a term expiring December 19th, 2019, Raymond Allen Beck of Craig, Colorado, to serve as representative of local government in the Western Slope, which operates airports, reappointed. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Transportation. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. House Bill 1068 be postponed indefinitely. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. House Bill 1055 be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 139 be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 158 be referred to Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. February 21st, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration of the mayor's committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 116 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations.
You good to go? So, Majority Leader Holbert.
Or after?
Either or.
Okay.
Either or. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege by my esteemed colleague, Senator Fields.
Motion before the body is to proceed out of order. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we have permission to proceed out of order. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is with great pleasure and honor that I pay tribute And before I get started, Mr. President, I would like to request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Colleagues, it is my deep honor and pleasure to recognize a very esteemed member of the City of Aurora. Her name is Astisto Zango. She was named Aurora's Poet of the Year. And to get this acknowledgement, you have to be outstanding in your intellectual creativity as it relates to poetry. Now, it's in times of what we're dealing with right now among our community, art literacy and poetry and music are some of the things that unite us. It binds us as one humanity. Her work with creative strategies for change, providing art classes to our youth, exemplifies the values we hold dear in our Aurora community as it relates to education, empowerment, and opportunity for all youth regardless of their background. I'm here to congratulate her on becoming the first Aurora poet, and I want to thank her for her ongoing work in our community as an artist, a leader, and a role model. Thank you for your commitment to sharing and inspiring our youth. I look forward to your future success. This is on request of Senator Rhonda Fields, given this 9th day of February 2017, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed by our President, Kevin J. Grantham, President of the Senate. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming her. And will you please stand? There you are. Thank you so very much for your outstanding creativity to the City of Aurora. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senate Services.
Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 73, 137, 144. Correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 129, 134, 140, 154. Correctly revised, House Bill 1005. Correctly re-revised, House Bill 1010, 1017, 1018, 1020, 1024, and 1047. Correctly enrolled, Senate Joint Resolution 9.
Message from the House.
The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor Statutes, House Bill 1148, 1126, 1135. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revisor Statutes, House Bill 1101 is amended, House Bill 1071 is amended, House Bill 1039 is amended, House Bill 1143 is amended. The House has passed on third reading, transmitted to the Revisor Statute, House Bill 1015, amended as printed in House Journal February 16, 2017, amended on third reading and printed in House Journal February 21, 2017. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith, Senate Bill 13 and 58.
Message from the Revisor.
We herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1126, 1135, and 1148 without comment as amended, House Bill 1015, 1039, 1071, 1101, and 1143.
Third reading of bills consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the titles to all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1005 by Representative Martin, Senator Tate, concerning modernization of various laws relating to the Office of the State Auditor. Senate Bill 137 by Senator Todd, Merrifield, and Representative Jackson, concerning the continuation of the Colorado Health Service Corps Advisory Council. Senate Bill 144 by Senator Hill and Zenzinger, and Representative Pedersen, concerning the recommended continuation of the Education Data Advisory Committee by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations in the Department of the Regulatory Agencies.
Colleagues, we are on third reading. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on third reading? Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move all three of the bills that are third reading of bills consent calendar consisting of House Bill 1005, Senate Bill 137, Senate Bill 144.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? The motion is for the adoption of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With the vote of, Senator Holbert, Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to be recorded as a no vote on Senate 137.
Are there any further no votes on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none. With the vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1005 is adopted. Co-sponsors. With a vote of 34 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 137 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Kafalas, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Moreno, Senator Kerr. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 144 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, Senator Martinez-Humenick, third reading of bills. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 73?
Senate Bill 73 by Senator Garcia and Representative Valdez concerning promotion of the Runyon Fountain Lakes State Wildlife Area.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 73 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 73? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 73. Are there any no votes? Senator Marble, Senator Neville, Senator Smallwood, Senator Holbert, with a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 73 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Kerr, Senator Merrifield, Senator Aguilar, General Orders, second reading of bills. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself, the Committee of the Whole, for the consideration of General Orders, second reading of Bill's calendar.
Motion before the body is to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the General Orders, second reading of bills calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of General Orders, second reading of bills calendar, and Senator Tate will take the chair.
Good morning. The committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Carpenter, you would please read the title to Senate Bill 4.
Senate Bill 4 by Senator Tate and Representative
Senator Holbert.
concerning access by Medicaid recipients to non-enrolled medical providers.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 4 till Monday, February 27th.
Thank you, Senator. You've heard the motion to lay over Senate Bill 4 to Monday. Any objection? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is laid over to Monday. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 143?
Senate Bill 143 by Senator Williams and Representative Norberg and Garnett concerning the retail sale of alcohol beverages.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 143 to tomorrow, February 23rd.
Thank you, Senator. You've heard the motion to lay Senate Bill 143 over until tomorrow. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 143 is laid over until tomorrow. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 106?
Senate Bill 106 by Senators Aguilar and Corman, Representative Singer, concerning the continuation of the regulation of naturopathic doctors by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations in the Department of Regulatory Agencies and in connection therewith implementing the Department's sunset review recommendations.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move Senate Bill 106 and the Health and Human Services Committee report.
To the committee report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, we changed the sunset from 5 years to 3 years.
Any further discussion on the committee report for Senate Bill 106? Seeing none, the committee report is adopted. To the bill. Oh, take a vote. Oh, all those in favor of adoption of the committee report to Senate Bill 106, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Quorum. Oh, there's one. I didn't see one on the desk. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 106 and ask for a favorable recommendation. Members, this is the sunset review of the naturopathic doctors, and we had
There's an amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, please read Amendment L007.
Amendment L007 to Senate Bill 106 by Senator Aguilar, amend the Health and Human Services Committee report dated February 9, 2017, page 1.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, and I have it here for Senator Quorum as well. This amendment was brought to us by the bill drafter. There was a technical error that needed cleaning up after moving the sunset date. And so this is a technical amendment to conform with the Senate Health and Human Services Committee report. And
Senator
I'd ask
Quorum.
for its adoption. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would support this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L007 to Senate Bill 106? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of Amendment L007. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Amendment L007 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill implements the recommendations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies to continue the regulation of naturopathic doctors. They had recommended 5 years, and in committee it was changed to 3 years, and there were a couple of changes made in how current verbiage was used. And otherwise, it continues the current registration requirements for naturopathic doctors, and I'd ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 106? There is another amendment on the desk, Amendment L008 to Senate Bill 106. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L008?
Amendment L008 to Senate Bill 106 by Senator Kagan, amend printed bill, page 3, before line 21, insert section 4 in Colorado Revised Statutes 1237.3106,
Senator
add.
Kagan.
Mr. Chair, I move Amendment L008.
Thank you. Any discussion on L008, please?
Mr. Chair, L008 just requires that as other professionals who deal with complex areas of law, that naturopaths have completed a director-approved jurisprudence exam that includes questions that elicit knowledge of legal obligations required of a registrant and specific requirements and limitations on the exclusions from the practice of naturopathic medicine, so that these folks are examined on what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do, as other professions are, and I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Amendment L008? Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask for a no vote on L008.
Any further discussion on L008? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This actually was an amendment I had brought forward in the committee, and it was defeated in the committee. Obviously, because I brought it forward, I supported it, but I do acknowledge that the Health Committee did defeat this amendment.
Any further discussion on Amendment L008 at this time? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L008 to Senate Bill 106. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The noes have it, and the amendment is defeated. Senator Kagan, to the bill. Oh, there's an amendment on the desk. Amendment L005. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L005 to Senate Bill 106?
Amendment L005 to Senate Bill 106 by Senator Kagan, amend printed bill page 3.
Senator Kagan.
I move Amendment L005.
To the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Amendment L005 is a less controversial amendment. In current law, naturopathic doctors are required to carry liability insurance in an amount of not less than $1 million. In an amount. That's what they've got to carry insurance of, in an amount not less than $1 million. It is not at all clear what that means. And in parallel provisions in other professions like real doctors, for example, as opposed to naturopathic doctors, medical doctors have to carry liability insurance in a minimum indemnity amount of X million dollars per incident and X million dollars annual aggregate per year. That is a lot clearer. So this amendment would not change the amount of insurance that they have to carry, but it would clarify that the $1 million that they have to carry in current statute is a minimum indemnity amount of $1 million per incident and $1 million annual aggregate per year, and then we know, and they know, and patients know what insurance they have to carry. It does not change the amount, members, but it does clarify the terms. I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Amendment L005? Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Second verse, same as the first. I would be in opposition to this. I think it's an unnecessary expense that is not needed. This is a review that we've been doing this for several years, and I would ask for a no vote.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Aguilar, we're on L005.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the next verse is a little bit louder and a little bit worse. I actually do support this. You know, one of the things that happened when the original naturopathic doctors bill was passed, and after that, was that they were actually given an expanded scope of practice that includes the ability to excise lesions and to give some local injections. And so we are also divided on this. But I think, again, in the interest of public protection and ensuring that patients who may be injured in more invasive treatments are covered, I would support this amendment.
Senator Kagan.
Well, I just want to clarify, Mr. Chair, and for the benefit of one of the sponsors, this does not change the amount of insurance that the naturopathic doctors have to carry. Right now, they have to carry liability insurance in an amount not less than $1 million. So they've got to have $1 million of insurance. This just makes clear that it's $1 million of insurance coverage per incident or annual aggregate per year, which is how other coverage limits are required to be set. So it does not increase the coverage that they have to have. It does not increase the cost that they have to have, but it does clarify what the $1 million coverage is. And so I would urge an aye vote, and thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Amendment L005? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L005 to Senate Bill 106. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the motion is defeated. There's another amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L006 to Senate Bill 106?
Amendment L006 is Senate Bill 106 by Senator Martinez Humanic. Amend printed bill, page 3, before line 21, insert section 4 in Colorado Revised Statutes 1237.3.
Senator Martinez Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Amendment L006 has to do with Section 4 and amends the introductory portion that says persons entitled to practice as naturopathic doctors, title protection for naturopathic doctors. And it says a naturopathic doctor may use the title registered naturopathic doctor or registered doctor of naturopathy, or the initials R period N period D period. A naturopathic doctor shall not use in any oral or written communication or advertising materials or on any website the term physician or primary care provider, the abbreviations NMD or N period M period D period or PCP.
Thank you, Senator, for the expository remarks. Can you also move Amendment L006?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L006. And
Senator Martinez Humanic.
thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason that I do believe this needs to be on here is we had a lot of discussion during the Health and Human Services hearing, and there is confusion with the public out there with what naturopathic doctors are actually putting on their materials, their marketing materials, as well as their websites. And so folks think they're going to a physician or a medical doctor when they're really not. They're going to a naturopathic doctor, which is registered with the state but is not licensed with the state. So I would ask for an aye vote on L006.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would be asked for a no vote on this. I think this is already in the program now, so I think it's repetitive and unnecessary. So ask for a no.
Senator Aguilar, L006.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I actually did get an email, a couple of emails from constituents that showed me places where there had been advertisements and articles written about RNDs where it was not clear that they were not medical doctors. It did talk about them providing primary care, and also ND, unfortunately, looks like a sloppy doctor's MD. And so I do support this amendment and would ask for an aye vote.
Senator Martinez Humanic.
And colleagues, I would just like to restate that to keep our public safe and have them have clear understanding of what kind of provider they're actually going to see, this amendment is needed, and it's not currently stated in the bill.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L006? Seeing none, the motion before the body is adoption of Amendment L006. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the amendment is lost. We have another amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L009?
Amendment L009 is Senate Bill 106 by Senator Marble and Neville.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L009.
To the amendment, please.
This just basically pretty simple. It, instead of using a neuropathic doctor or the initials ND, it states that they may use the registered RND initials or registered doctor of naturopathy.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? L009, Senator Quorum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would ask for a no vote on this. Basically, L009 is repetitive of L006 and ask for a no vote.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It actually is not repetitive. It only covers the first 8 lines of L006. It does allow us again to distinguish RND from MD.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I ask for an aye vote. This shows a differentiation. I think it's a good policy, so I would ask for an aye vote on 009.
Any further discussion on Amendment L009 to Senate Bill 106? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L009. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. The motion's adopted. Senator Aguilar, to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move Senate Bill 106 as amended and ask for a favorable recommendation.
Any further discussion on on Senate Bill 106? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 106 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 106 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 130?
Senate Bill 130 by Senator Priola concerning alignment of the number of hours of practical experience required.
Senator Holbert.
Register as a sprinkler fitted with the number of hours of practical experience required to become licensed as a journeyman plumber.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 130 to February 23rd. That would be tomorrow.
The motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 130 until February 23rd tomorrow. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is laid over. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 53?
Senate Bill 53 by Senator Sonnenberg concerning requirements for asbestos litigation claims.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 53.
The motion for the body is adoption of Senate Bill 53. Is there any discussion? Senator Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On such an important topic concerning requirements for asbestos litigation claims, knowing that we have victims who are being dragged through years of litigation, trying to slow down the rightful payment to these victims, I think we should take a little bit more time and have a little bit more explanation exactly why this body should side on the side of the insurance companies and against the side of the victims of asbestos in our communities. If we could have just, a little bit of discussion as to why we should do that, that would be great. So I'd respectfully ask the sponsor if he could explain the bill a little bit.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and happy to fulfill that discussion. Members, this actually speeds up the process for those that need the help. We are trying to put the money that is involved in those pools directly to those that need the immediate consideration. Right now, what we have is a whole slew of people. A delayed concept that takes years right now is the way it works. It takes years. Many people die before they ever have the opportunity to access this. What this does is moves them to the top of the pile, and those that are not showing any physical ailments to the bottom of the pile. That's all this does. This helps treat those that need help treatment now, and that's what we're asking.
There's an amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title, read Amendment L001 to Senate Bill 53?
Amendment L001, Senate Bill 53 by Senator Kagan, amendment printed bill page 10 after line 9.
Senator Kagan.
Mr. Chairman, I move Amendment L001.
To the amendment, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the Senate Committee of the Whole, this amendment is very straightforward. The requirements of Part 13 of the bill are requirements placed upon plaintiffs to make certain disclosures, to not proceed until they have done so, these are disclosures which and requirements that will delay the court action. And so I know that the Senate sponsor is very keen that folks who are dying do not have their claims delayed. And this amendment simply says that those requirements which are going to delay a proceeding shall not apply if the court finds from the pleadings that the plaintiff is a living natural person as opposed to the estate of a person who is deceased, and as opposed to a corporation, a corporate person. But if the plaintiff is a living natural person who may be facing a premature death from exposure to asbestos, then these delay tactics or delay procedures do not apply to that plaintiff. And so this makes sure that the delays that are built into the bill do not apply to plaintiffs who are dying, so that they will get justice before they die, and I urge an aye vote.
Senator Aguilar. L001.
Thank you, members. I rise in support of this amendment. If you look at page 6, lines 22 through 24, once a plaintiff complies with all the actions required, they have to wait 182 days. 182 days to have the case heard in court. And then if you look at page 8, lines 2 through 4, they have to wait another 63 days. So we have built into this bill 7 months of delays for the plaintiff who may have a fatal illness, and I'd ask for your support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd ask for a no vote on the amendment. And what we have here is when you have the 182 days that it has to wait, currently we're waiting a year. This doesn't change anything, quite honestly. We are already waiting an immense amount of time to meet all of these requirements. What the bill does is essentially what the amendment is asking it to do. We already have that in the bill. That's why I asked for a no vote. That's why we're trying to accomplish this with the bill.
Senator Kagan, L001.
Thank you. This is to L001. And this is what Part 13 says in part. An asbestos action may not proceed to trial until at least 182 days after the requirements of subsection 1 of this section have been met. May not proceed to trial until at least 182 days after the requirements have been met. That is 6 months. To tell somebody who has 3 months to live that their case will not be heard at least for another 6 months because of this bill is not something we should countenance. I'll read you another part. Not less than 63 days. Not less than 63 days after the plaintiff provides the documentation required under this section. The court may schedule the asbestos action for trial. So we've got one section that says not less than 182 days after the requirements have been met, and another section that says not less than 63 days after the requirements have been met, may it even be scheduled for trial. These are new provisions that we are proposing to put into law to delay by 6 months and 2 months, respectively, cases brought in some cases by people who are facing a premature death and may die before this action comes to trial. And this amendment simply says the court shall not apply those delays, which I've just mentioned to you, where it appears that the person may be facing a premature death from exposure to asbestos, I urge an aye vote on these amendments, on this amendment.
Any further discussion on Amendment L001? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of L001 to Senate Bill 53. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the amendment is lost. There's another amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L003?
Amendment L003 to Senate Bill 53 by Senator Kagan. Amend printed bill, page 6, after line 24, insert 1321.
Senator Kagan.
Mr. Chair, I move Amendment L003.
Do the amendment, please.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, this bill requires many disclosures by the plaintiff. This is the person who is suffering from exposure to asbestos and is seeking to get their medical bills paid and their compensation paid. And this bill requires them to make many disclosures. It doesn't require the defendant to make any unusual disclosures. So this amendment would simply say, okay, the defendant, not later than 90 days after receiving the complaint, shall provide to the parties to the lawsuit documents, electronically stored information, photographs or images, insurance policies, data compilations, depositions, affidavits, expert reports, trial testimony, and all settlements made from with other plaintiffs from the same work site. In other words, if indeed we are going to require the plaintiff to provide to the defendant an unusual large amount of information about other litigation that may be going on, about the facts that they have discovered, let's also ask the defendant to produce to the plaintiff that similar kind of information on a similar time frame, so that if the purpose of this bill really is to speed up litigation and speed up discovery, let's make it apply to both sides. I urge an aye vote to Amendment 003.
Is there any further discussion on L003? Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, if you want to bog it down, let's put more stuff in there. I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? L003, Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I had the opportunity to sit in judiciary the day that this bill was heard. And I encourage you to read pages 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, up to part 14, page 10, of all the requirements that are put on these plaintiffs before they can even file an action. I've never, and I asked if there were other fields in which this had to happen, and they said no. They have to put in, under penalty of perjury, a sworn statement that an investigation of all asbestos trust claims has been conducted, and that all asbestos trust claims that can be made by the plaintiff or any person on the plaintiff's behalf have been filed. And we had patients testifying who had no idea when and where they had been exposed to asbestos, and so they could potentially file a false report, not intentionally, because there was no way for them to know that. They also are asking the plaintiffs to produce all trust claims materials submitted by other individuals. They're asking the plaintiff to, giving the defendant a right to stay the proceedings if they think that there's more additional trust claims that the plaintiff can file. I mean, it's really pretty restrictive, and so I would ask that at the very least we put these same restrictive requirements on the defendant to equalize the playing field. And I would ask for an aye vote on the amendment.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L003 to Senate Bill 53. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the amendment fails. We have another amendment on the desk. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L002?
Amendment L002 to Senate Bill 53.
Senator Kagan.
Mr. Chair, I move Amendment L002.
Do the amendment, please.
Members, if we're going to do this to plaintiffs who are in the agony of trying to settle their affairs and settle their matters, while in some cases dying from asbestos exposure, let's not at least foist this on people who already have their cases going. Give those folks a break. Make this bill apply only to cases filed on or after July the 1st, 2017, so that those who have their cases going now are not suddenly exposed to a new set of requirements, a new set of delays, and a new set of possible claims of perjury by these plaintiffs. Aren't they going through enough? Let's let the existing lawsuits continue under current law. Make this law apply only to new cases after July the 1st, 2017, and I urge an aye vote.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I rise in support of this amendment. I refer you to page 10, lines 8 and 9, where it says, any pending asbestos actions in which trial has not commenced as of the effective date of this Part 13. So they're changing the rules after you've already instituted your claim, and that's just unfair. And I'd ask for an aye vote on L002.
Any further discussion, L002? Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for a no vote.
See no further discussion on Amendment L002. The motion is the adoption of that amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the amendment fails. Senator Kagan. To the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask the sponsor, the bill sponsor, if the plaintiff has to
Senator Kagan.
I'd like to ask the bill sponsor to let me know if the plaintiff has to. Oh, I'd like to
address your questions to the chair, please, Senator.
All right. I'd like to ask, Mr. Chair, whether the bill sponsor, when deciding that plaintiffs had to, under this bill, reveal any other causes of action that they might have against a trust, whether it was considered whether or not defendants would similarly have to disclose to plaintiffs any other actions they were defending against similarly situated plaintiffs.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Senate Bill 53? Senator Aguilar. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to defer to Senator Sonnenberg.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just simply going to reiterate that this bill puts those that are in need up front, and those that are not showing signs of illness behind those others. So the intent is to speed up those that actually need the help. And that's what we're trying to do with the bill. That's why I asked for a yes vote.
Any further discussion? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't want you to think that I'm at all questioning the bill sponsor's intent. I'm concerned that the language as written, in my opinion, does not allow that intent to be carried out. And I would refer you again, when you can't sleep, to pages 10 through 17, well actually it's 18, which describe what the medical requirements are to file this case. And what has me particularly concerned about this, aside from the fact that we are putting in statute the medical definition of a condition, which is really a relatively newly defined condition, which is why asbestos existed in the past, and we're working now to keep it out. We've put into here such detail, including things like, and this is one that particularly is difficult for me, that the physician needs to spend no more than 25% of their professional practice time providing consultative or expert services. Well, if you specialize in asbestos, you're providing consultative or expert services. And someone like me who practices general internal medicine, I wouldn't have the competency to meet these requirements that are here. Another interesting requirement is on page 16, lines 13 through 18, where it says the physician was licensed to practice on the date any examination or pulmonary function testing was conducted. So if I see a patient today whose first indication of disease was, well, I'm too old, but let's say I'm a new doctor, was 8 years ago, and I wasn't licensed, I can't opine on that test. So they're just really, I think that if the goal here is to say that the sickest persons get to court first, then let's write a bill that says that, and not a bill that instead sets up pages and pages of barriers, not only to the plaintiff, but to the provider. It's rare to get a doctor who will sign under oath that they're absolutely certain something is true, and yet that's required in this bill. So I'd ask for a strong no on Senate Bill 53.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Kagan. No, Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know my esteemed colleague, the bill sponsor, to be an honest and truthful man, and I take him at his word that the purpose of the bill is to prioritize. But that is the purpose of Part 14 of the bill, Section 2 of the bill. Part 14 of the statutes. But Part 13 has nothing to do with prioritization. Part 13 is devoted to finding out by the defendant what other claims the plaintiff might have against other parties, what other parties might be liable for the plaintiff's injuries. It's to get information from the plaintiff that might help them in the defendant's case. And of course, every litigant wants to have information from the other side that might help them reduce their liability. And Part 13 is the part that particularly troubles me and should lead you members to say no to this bill. It is Part 13, not the prioritization part, that is the most troubling part. That is the part that is going to cause additional anguish and grief to people who are dying from asbestos-related exposure. And I urge a no vote, not because primarily of Part 14, but of the part of the bill that requires fulsome disclosure, delays in the action until that disclosure has been made, the purpose of the disclosure being, as I understand it, to get information from the plaintiff that might help reduce defendant's liability. It is a proper goal for litigation to try and get information from the plaintiff, but this bill gives a special leg up to these particular defendants.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Senate Bill 53? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 50. A division has been called. Will those in the chamber not entitled to vote please be seated? Another call for division. The motion for the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 53. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. Now, all those in favor of Senate Bill 53, please stand. Thank you. Please be seated. Now, all those opposed, please stand. Thank you, Senators. The motion fails. Senate Bill 53 fails. That was the motion, the adoption of Senate Bill 53. Thank you for the inquiry. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of the Senate Bill 61?
Senate Bill 61 by Senators Hill and Williams and Representative Size concerning distribution of additional operational funding to charter schools.
Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll go ahead and move Senate Bill 61 to be sent back to appropriations. And then, Mr. Chair, I'd like the chance to explain a little bit what's going on here.
The motion for the body is to move Senate Bill 61 to the Committee of Appropriations. Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I just want to explain what we're doing here. I appreciate my co-sponsor and the minority leader and other folks willing to work on this, my fellow education members. I hope this is a symbol of our willingness to say let's be as broad and bipartisan and just transparent as possible on Senate Bill 61. While I understand we have strong disagreements on some of the policies, but what we're doing here is we've got a fund to potentially someday, if money frees up, equalize funding for CSI charter schools. And we say on the back of the bill very clearly, it says in a budget year in which the General Assembly does not appropriate any money to fund this mill levy, that the districts are not required to comply with the provisions of this section. That being said, given that we'd originally routed it to the floor, there was some concern that we still need to clarify that there is no appropriation. So I'm asking for the chance, Mr. Chair and colleagues, to send this back to appropriations to clarify that however we need to, and then a chance to discuss this on the policy terms next week.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion for the body is to refer Senate Bill 61 to the Committee of Appropriations. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of Senate Bill 153?
Senate Bill 153 by Senators Garcia and Crowder and Representative Esgar concerning establishment of the Southwest Chief and Front Range Passenger Rail Commission to oversee the preservation and expansion of Amtrak Southwest Chief Rail Service in Colorado and facilitate the development and operation of the Front Range Passenger Rail System that provides passenger rail service in and along the Interstate 25 corridor.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move SB 117-153 and ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any discussion on Senate Bill 153? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 153. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of Senate Bill 125?
Senate Bill 125 by Senator Guzman and Representative Pabon concerning allowing certain persons who have been exonerated of crimes to receive in lump sum payments compensation that is owed to them by the state.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, in 2013, we passed House Bill 1230, which created a state compensation fund for those persons who were found innocent of felony crimes after serving time in prison, jail, or juvenile placement. This bill, Senate Bill 125, allows exonerating persons who were deemed eligible to receive compensation for wrongly being jailed or imprisoned. This gives the opportunity for them to receive a lump sum payment in lieu of annual payments at any point after at least one annual payment is made. This bill passed in the Judiciary Committee 5-0, and I ask for your support.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a clarification. I noticed on the fiscal note that there was no money, state revenue or state expenditures, and I'm wondering where the money is coming from, because in the background here it talks about $70,000 each year incarcerated, $25,000 a year, but it talks about money in the fiscal note, but there's no fiscal expenditure, and I'm trying to figure that out, and I apologize, Mr. Chair, but if that could be explained, I'd feel better about it.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The obligations are coming from the Judicial Department, I think, but you know, I'm really not sure, but I think it's through the Judicial Department. And on the, you can see on the back page, the state is currently making annual payments to one exonerated person. The state's obligation in this case totals $1,192,310, and the Judicial Department plans to expend $110,124 in 2017 and 2018. So I believe the answer, Mr. Chair, is the Judicial Department's budget.
Senator Guzman, I may not have been listening properly. Would you mind, just for my own assurance, moving Senate Bill 125 again? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 125 on second reading.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the good senator from Northwest Colorado asked why there's no fiscal impact on this. My understanding from the committee hearing is that we're already obligated to make these payments, but under current law, they're obligated to be made at a rate of $100,000 per year. This would make the whole payment payable immediately. And the loss in that is the time value of the money. And the time value of the money for the small number of claims that there are, and they're going to be minuscule, there's been one so far, and the time value of the money, interest rates being what they are at the moment, is so small that we heard in committee that this would be negligible and absorbed within existing resources. And that was why there's no fiscal impact.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I read this bill, and it's an interesting bill, and I realize there's only one person involved now. My question to the sponsor, do you think this is really in the best interest of anybody involved in this? And I understand the one-time payment versus X amount of years, but I do question, if I was in that situation, you know, I understand the lump sum, but I think maybe in my best interest, if I was a perpetrator who was exonerated, to get annual payments. And I just wonder if there's been any, and I understand that's the entire portion of the bill, but I just question whether this is in the individual's best interest to do this. And I'd just like to get your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to my friend from Southern Colorado and Alamosa. We did discuss this, and the person who came and who was interested in this spent 18 years, I believe, total in prison, and when he was exonerated, had actually no money to his name. One of the ideas in terms of his wanting the lump sum, was that he would like to purchase a home. He cannot get credit because he hasn't been able to build up credit. He didn't come from a place where he had money, and then he spent all those years in prison. He wasn't able to be given a loan. So the thought is that, and he's not in good health, but if he could get the lump sum, a home these days, as most of you know, is $300,000 or $400,000. He could get a loan in other kinds of things that he needs and have them fully paid for. There is the question of, does someone know how to spend this money wisely, especially after being in prison for so long? But we discussed it, and I discussed it with the sponsor in the House as well, and thought that this should be the decision of the individual, not our decision, but that the person should be able to decide whether or not they wanted to do the lump sum or not. So that was why.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Crowder.
I thank you very much for that response. You know, I know this is a rarity that this happens, but I have deep concerns. If this individual is, let's say, incarcerated for a number of years and not on a daily method of controlling money, I just question whether you'll have people from outside of his circle coming in and trying to absconding this money under false pretenses. So I just really, you know, struggle with this particular bill. And I understand your situation on credit, but I think we ought to look at the best interest of that person who is exonerated after a number of years, who gets a large sum at one time. And are there safeguards in place for this individual when this money comes in? Because if he has free will and people are pulling away from him, so I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, my colleague from Alamosa. This, a person who is found to have been exonerated, this is not an easy chore. Once they go through that, and they go through the courts and so forth and so on, and there's a lot of steps. It's not just any and everybody who's going to be able to do this. As we say, we don't believe there are going to be a lot. But since 18 years of his life, his freedom was taken away, I believe that this person should have the freedom to decide how he would like to be paid.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I rise in support of this bill. We heard this in Finance Committee, and we took a strong look at this bill, and it passed unanimously out of Finance. I think, you know, the minority leader has brought up a good, you know, an important piece to look at. This is basically a bill that talks about somebody that has been actually had their liberty restored to them. This financial piece is restoring their financial liberty and giving them the opportunity to make decisions. It is a question of trust. I look at it from a standpoint of supporting liberty, and I believe that we should support that liberty of the individual. And we need to make sure that we trust and we empower that person, especially after they've gone through this process and possibly being incarcerated and losing their freedom. What are we doing? What is our message to them? So I rise in full support of this bill.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I rise in support of Senate Bill 125. I did have an opportunity to hear this bill in committee, and we had some great testimony from the Attorney General's office. And the Attorney General office was in contact with the person that had served all this time and was found to be innocent. And he shared his story in reference to how he was struggling because of the limitations that was put on him in reference to not having access to the full capital that he needed to be successful and for him to move on with his life. Then we heard from him and his wife. And it's not easy to transition back in society after being incarcerated for that long time. And I was so proud that our Attorney General's office was able to listen to his story and come and testify in his behalf and in support of this bill. So with that in mind, members, please vote yes on Senate Bill 125.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, when the state has gone and used the heavy hand of the state, the hand that needs to be heavy at times, but we've made a mistake in that in the justice system, and now we have the chance to right it, we need to do so as quickly as possible. The notion that somehow we know best on what time frame and how to dole this out, I think is just smacks of the hubris of top-down management that our laws can too often take. It is our responsibility to make people whole again, make them whole as quickly as possible, and trust these folks to go and do with that as they see fit, as they put their life back together. But this is our responsibility, is to trust our constituents, especially those that we have gone out and wronged in this case and gone through the process, and now we're making them right. We need to do so as quickly, as rapidly, and as efficiently as possible. Please join me in supporting this bill.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Senate Bill 125? Seeing none, the motion for the body of adoption of Senate Bill 125. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read House Bill 1046?
House Bill 1046 by Representative Lebsack and Senator Donovan concerning updating statutory references to certain limited outdated terms relating to people with disabilities.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1046 and the committee report on Health and Human Services.
To the committee report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This committee report updated additional language. We found that we had referenced alcoholics, and so we changed that to persons incapacitated by alcoholism and or by addiction.
Any further discussion on the committee report to House Bill 1046? Seeing none, the motion is to the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to just read testimony from a very articulate and wonderful witness that we had. His name is Connor. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time and this opportunity to speak. I am Connor Long, a resident of Louisville and a 2012 graduate of Fairview High School. I'm here in support of House Bill 1046, which seeks to modernize terms of legislation with reference people with disabilities, people with difference in abilities, but not in hopes, dreams, and aspirations. We seek change in language not for the sake of political correctness, but of simple human decency. Technical terms like retardation and retarded once were used and useful for understanding and addressing challenging developmental conditions and circumstances, but are today all too often twisted into thoughtless terms of insult and belittlement. If we are speaking in the clinical sense, that it has taken more time to develop along so-called normal milestones of development, progress, and achievement. It took me a long time and a lot of support to learn to walk, talk, read, write, run, jump, kick, learn some Spanish, Latin, and German, to dribble a basketball, swim in competition, cycle in mountain passes, climb scary tall rock walls, break boards and taekwondo, sing in front of full stadiums, act upon stages and in front of cameras, and even to testify in the halls of democracy. Connor continued, I may deal with the challenges of Down syndrome, but I am nobody's snowflake. I don't melt in the heat of thoughtlessness or intentional verbal abuse. But sometimes, Connor added, I wilt, I tire, I question, I doubt, I hesitate, I feel apart. And I flounder when I could be flourishing, blossoming, and bearing the fruit that is unique to me. Fruit which on a good day might excite, encourage, and nourish others to do the same. Connor concluded that if we as a society cannot be bothered to choose compassionate words which are encouraging, supportive, uplifting, inspiring, how will we the community, we the state, we the nation, and we the world ever hope to construct and sustain a peaceful and sustainable coexistence? He finished by saying, I may be differently abled, but I am not without abilities. I sit here before you today. I advocate, act, compete, work, volunteer, worship, create and recreate, and explore and enjoy the many wonders of our world and life. I am me, you are you, I have my speed, and you each have yours. My development may come slower and my achievements harder, but I am not retarded. I am Connor Long. Words matter. Sometimes as senators, we get to be the voice of others, and other times we just get to be the vehicle for others to speak. I'm proud to have Connor be the voice of this bill, and I ask for your support.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on House Bill 1046? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of House Bill 1046. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 146 and Senate Bill 142 till Monday, the 27th of February.
The motion for the body is to lay over Senate Bills 146 and 142 until Monday, February 27th. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are laid over. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of Senate Bill 105?
Senate Bill 105 by Senators Garcia and Cook and concerning consumers' rights to know their electric utility charges by requiring investor-owned electric utilities to provide their customers with a comprehensive breakdown of costs on their monthly bills.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 105 in the Agriculture, Natural Resource, Energy Committee report.
To the committee report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was determined in the committee that the bill required further clarification, and so you'll note from the committee report that I believe we achieved that in some specifications. So that's the committee report, sir.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on the committee report to Senate Bill 105? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report is adopted. To the bill, Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senate Bill 105, I believe, is an important bill for Coloradans. Often electric bills consumers receive are unclear. They lack detail and present a number of different confusion points for household usage and for consumers. Senate Bill 105 is an important bill and designed to alleviate a lot of that by helping to increase transparency for consumers regarding their electric bill. Specifically, Senate Bill 105 will require investor-owned utilities to file their bill under a comprehensive billing format effective January 1st of 2018. And this is important. Members, I would ask you to consider your cell phone bill as an example of what we're trying to achieve here and the importance of this. And many times, as you know, at least with the cell phone provider, that you are aware of those overages before that happens. We believe that greater transparency needs to be invested for investor-owned utilities to be able to present a comprehensive billing format, which includes line-by-line billing items, detailed tier-based charges, and visual representations of what those charges are. I'd ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 105.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a question for the sponsor. On this particular bill, is this all power companies, or is this privately owned power companies, REAs? Would this affect all of them, and if so, has there been any analysis of cost to that business to see where we're at on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the good senator from Senate District 35, great question. This only affects investor-owned utilities, which in the state of Colorado only applies to Black Hills and Excel, and so it would not affect the IREAs.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. Members, I ask for a yes vote on this bill. I don't know if you've ever talked to any of your constituents about the bills they receive from Excel, but there's a lot of confusion. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
And there's a lot of assumptions, and there are pass-through costs that nobody even knows are in a category of charge. And I think by breaking this out, people will understand their bills better and be more informed and can make better choices and potentially save some money on how they use their energy. So I ask for a yes vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I renew my vote, ask for an aye vote on Senate Bill 105.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 105. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 105 is adopted. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 35, Senate Bill 135, and Senate Bill 68 until tomorrow. Lay over the balance of the second reading calendar.
Thank you, Senator. The motion for the body is to lay over Senate Bills 35, 135, and 68 until tomorrow. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills are laid over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
Good. Senate will come to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole Beggs lead report has had under consideration the following attached bills being second reading thereof. Makes the following recommendations. Number 1, Senate Bill 106 is amended. Senate Bill 153, Senate Bill 125, Senate Bill 105 is amended, passed on second reading, order engrossed and placed on the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1046 is amended, passed on second reading, order revised and placed on the counter for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 143, Senate Bill 130, Senate Bill 35, Senate Bill 135, Senate Bill 68 laid over until 2/23/17, retaining their place on the calendars. Senate Bill 4, Senate Bill 146, Senate Bill 142 laid over until 2/27/17, retaining their place on the calendars. Senate Bill 61 referred to Committee on Appropriations. Senate Bill 53 lost on second reading.
Senator Tate.
I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion before us is the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? Seeing none, the vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused. The Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 106 is amended. Senate Bill 153, Senate Bill 125, 105 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1046 is amended, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 143, Senate Bill 130, Senate Bill 35, Senate Bill 135, Senate Bill 68 laid over until 2/23/17, retaining their place on the calendar. Senate Bill 4, Senate Bill 146, Senate Bill 142 laid over until 2/27/17, retaining their place on the calendar. Senate Bill 61 referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Senate Bill 53 lost on second reading. Special orders. Sorry. Special orders, second reading of bills. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate take up Special orders, second reading of bills consisting of two bills on the calendar for tomorrow, Thursday, February 23rd. This will be Senate Bill 196 and Senate Bill 197. Mr. President, I move that the Senate take up special order, second reading of bills consent calendar at the hour of 10:29 today, a.m. 10:39 a.m. I amend my motion to 10:39 a.m.
Motion before us is to take up special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar at the hour of 10:39 a.m. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will take up special order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
The motion before the body is to resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself from the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Tate will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. Will the clerk please read the titles to all the bills on the special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 196 by Senator Lundberg and Representative Young concerning the improvement of the Department of Laws, Information and Technology Security. Senate Bill 197 by Senator Lundberg and Representative Young concerning the provision on legal service for the Department of Education in the 2016-17 state fiscal year.
Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move both of the bills on the special order, second reading of bills, consent calendar consisting of Senate Bill 196 and Senate Bill 197.
Is there any discussion to the bills on the consent calendar? A motion for the body is the adoption of all the bills on the special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills on the consent calendar are adopted. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee will rise and report.
Senate will come to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole bills lead reports had under consideration the following attached bills in the second reading that makes the following recommendation on Senate Bill 196 and Bill 197 passed on second reading order and gross plans encountered for third reading and final passage.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion before us is the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 196, Senate Bill 197 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Message from the House.
The House has passed on third reading and transmitted revised statutes House Bill 1140, 1136, 1133, 1154, 1157. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted revised statutes House Bill 1102 is amended. House Bill 1142 is amended. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted revised statute House Bill 1093, amended on third reading and printed in the House Journal February 22nd, 2017. The House has passed on third reading and returns here with Senate Bill 52 and 20.
Message from the reviser.
We herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1133, 1136, 1140, 1154, and 1157 without comment as amended House Bill 1093, 1102, and 1142.
Signing of bills.
The President has signed House Bill 1060 and 1073.
Announcements. Senator Tate. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick announcement from the Senate Business and Labor Committee. Yesterday, we heard testimony on Senate Bill 63. Just a quick advisory to those I haven't spoken with. We laid that bill laid it over for action only, and we will perform that action a week from today on the 29th. We have one bill today, and look forward to seeing you this afternoon. Thank you.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, today is PT's day at the Capitol. This flyer is on your desk, and it's got some information. There are physical therapists down in the basement as well as across the street at the 1527 Sherman, room 605. So they'll be here till 2. If you have any aches or pains, or even if you don't have any aches or pains, you can speak with them about possible exercises or things you can do to improve. Thank you.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. A quick reminder, we have the Mental Health Caucus today at lunch. Hope to see you there.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Finance tomorrow on your calendar. It's going to be added on there, but I want to make sure nobody misses it. Senate Bill 111 for action only. Please add that to your calendar in Finance for tomorrow on adjournment.
Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Just a last-minute reminder. At noon, we have the Runaway and Homeless Youth Caucus. There will be lunch provided. We'll be talking about various housing options that are available to youth that are dealing with homelessness. And that, I believe it's in HCR 109 down in the basement. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, thank you so much for your work this morning. We made a great amount of progress on second reading and tried to get done here by 10:30, but we'll get you out to morning committees for Health and Human Services and Joint Budget Committee. We will have some bills to read over later, I believe just House bills. And for that reason, Mr. President, I move the Senate recess until 1:30 p.m. this afternoon.
Motion before us is to recess until 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will be in recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
you